to the ABC Podcast.
Always be cool.
The show where your hosts, DC and BK, showcase your local business and real estate pros going gangbusters in leadership, community involvement, and just being cool.
Here are your hosts, serial entrepreneurs, mortgage experts at Summit Lending, and partners in crime, Darren Copeland and Bobby Kerr.
All right, everybody, it's the Always Be Cool podcast, hanging out with Bobby Kerr, Darren Copeland.
What's up, everyone?
In the Summit Lending Studios, we have got a really, really special guest today. I know I say that all the time, but he really is special. We've got Country Breakfast, Mr. Billy Butler.
All right, everyone, here we go. Born April 18th, 1986, attended Wolfson High School in Jacksonville, Florida. 2004 first-round pick of the Kansas City Royals, was the Royals Minor League Player of the Year. Then in 2006, he was in the All-Star Futures game and selected MVP, rock star, Silver Slugger Award and All-Star in 2012. Played 10 years in the majors with the Royals, A's, and Yankees. All-around awesome guy, Billy Butler, brother. Welcome to the show, man.
Welcome.
Thanks for being here.
I miss you guys.
I know, right? I know.
We need to make this like a standing meeting.
I mean, that was the best intro I've had in a while. I'll tell you that right now, Coach.
Hey, man,
right?
I appreciate it. You know, hey, anything for a former coach at Fantasy, man. We prepped the heck out of this for you, Billy.
Hey, man.
So we were talking before the show started that obviously you missed fantasy camp this last year. You were sorely missed. We had a bunch of our guys that you were just mentioning that were sending you text messages. They sent us messages today saying, hey, like, make sure he gets his ass back to camp this year.
I'm coming.
Awesome.
I'm coming back.
All right.
I was only one time thing. Hey, man, I was married for 15 years. It's 15-year anniversary that week. So I had to do it that year because they said they're moving it to November. And I'm like, well, it's anniversary same time every year. So
Right.
Definitely, she already told me I can go. No, there's just some anniversaries you can't.
Hey,
miss.
man,
No,
that's
we
all
get
good.
it.
They changed the date. It was already February that year, and then we moved. We moved it, but
No, man.
it's on my calendar.
It's all good.
It's all good, man. Just make sure you get that cleared with Dina, man. Let's go.
Right,
I think
right.
we were dropping a bunch of
Oh,
names.
I've already messaged with Dina. They wanted me to. They wanted me to come out this year for a special guest. I just couldn't do it. I was on a trip.
Yeah, all
I was on a
good.
trip.
Well,
Yes.
we were talking before the show started, and you said that you potentially had an opportunity come up this past year, and you declined it. But you want to talk about that a little bit? It's pretty special.
Yeah. So I was just like you said. You went all through my accomplishments, man. The best one for me, I mean, obviously playing in the World Series, being in the All-Star game, especially in the hometown, that whole process. I mean, we will touch on that. If not, I'll touch on it with you.
We're going to
guys.
touch on
No,
it.
we got it down.
I figured you were. So, but all that being said, man, if you go back, man, getting drafted by the Royals, it was, I mean, one of the best moments or in my life. But that being said, then going to Idaho Falls, where I'm at here, so I get to play for the Chuckers. Then go through my career, and then when I'm done playing, get to come back and coach them every year. Like whenever they downsized the minor leagues, it went to independent. But I do my part here to keep it going. The fans still come out. I mean, they still get a ton of fans. It's unfortunate it's not affiliated with the Royals anymore. I mean, the Royals loved it. We've always talked about it. It's a great place to start your career, and I really believe that. And I've always been, had fond memories of here. I live here now, so I coach it. I got an opportunity. They offered me. My manager in 2005, Billy Gardner, got offered to go back to pro ball. It was a job that I got offered actually, and I turned it down with the Miami Marlins.
Okay.
And they gave it to him, but then in turn they offered me to be the manager of the Chuckers. I was just like, I got 3 young kids. I got a 14-year-old, 10, 7-year-old. Can't do it. I just couldn't do it. So I'm the hitting coach again, but they did make me I did make him a promise. I said when my kids are all out of the house, they want me to coach it. So, if I make it that long with 3 daughters at home, I will be managing that team.
Right.
But
Hashtag girl dad.
Oh man, I coach softball now. I love it. But yeah, so I had the opportunity to be the manager, turned it down, but I'm gonna be hitting coach out there for home games, and I watch them every night. I get phone calls, help them out. But
Awesome.
Yeah, that'll be fun.
yeah,
man.
that's the gig. you were talking about.
All right. Hey, let's before we start talking about the All-Star game and the World Series in 2014, let's go back a little bit. I know you passed up on a scholarship to play at the University of Florida, but let's talk about some of your experiences and stories down in the minor leagues, because I know you guys had one heck of a team back in AA, back in the day, man. So talk about that experience that you had there in Wichita with those guys coming up.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously, if you look back, I think, I don't have the stats and stuff in front of me. So, I mean, obviously, we're just, spitballing here. But we had, I want to say, we had 8 first-round picks on that team over the course of time.
Nice.
D. Brown.
Yep.
We had, Shane Costa. Yeah,
Lubanski.
Costa was second-round pick. But
Mitch,
yeah,
Maier.
we had all those first-round picks. I don't want to go through them. All of them are still freaking great friends of mine. But, Frank White, manager.
Yep.
Was that Alex on that team?
Oh, yeah.
Alex Gordo?
Yeah.
Is that what you're saying? Yeah, Alex on that team, yes. Yeah. Alex, you had Mitch Maier. Who, Yeah, you had all those guys that were first-round picks. Greinke came back after, he quit and then came back.
I think actually, Sweeney Dog played 4 games with that team that year.
Yeah, rehab.
Yeah.
He rehab, came down. So, we had a lot of guys on that one. Those are things I lived with Lubanski. We had a lot of guys coming and going. Ho Shaver too is another one. So you have to remember all those things. Probably remember those things. Honestly, his best summer. I remember a lot of things that happened on the transform your career. Just get to play with those guys, and I spend like I said, I got to spend like 10 or 11 years with Alex every year, and that was like the start of it. I played fall league with him the year before when he first signed, and then that was the start of 10, 11 straight years. So if you think about that long, that's a lot of time. We spent more time together than we did with our family.
Oh, sure.
Because as much time and all bus travels,
right,
all that stuff. One of the stories I remember on that one, we clinched to go to the Texas League Championship Series, which is another kind of funny thing. We were playing against Corpus Christi, who the manager for that team is Dave Clark. Dave Clark is actually going to be the manager here this summer.
Oh, no way.
So I managed to get
full circle there.
And actually recommendation of me and the former manager here, because he coached against me. All those years I have great respect for Dave, but it's kind of funny how things happen where they come back around. Now I'll be with him here, but they did beat us in that year. They beat us in the Texas League Championship Series that year. But one of the things to go to the Texas League Championship Series, I was one of the guys. I was like, I'm only freaking 19, 20 years old. When we clinch, all the guys going to the bars in Wichita. I got to stay outside. And I'm like sitting out in the freaking. They're in there having a good time and everything like that. And then I'm just sitting out there in the freaking out there waiting for him to come out.
Oh no!
And then I see D. Brown come out the back, and they sneak me in the back. So I got to go in there and have a good time with the boys.
That's awesome.
Other than that, I was outside pouting.
Right.
Well, you still have that baby face too. So I was looking at pictures earlier from back in 2006, 2007.
Young.
You were 18, 19, like you said, but you looked like 15.
I aged a lot more since having girls.
No doubt.
Without a doubt. Hey, how long did they keep you outside?
I'm sexier than you are.
That's right.
I am. You get that every year in camp, and I'm sitting there thinking, what? It's supposed to go to me.
That's me. Hey, Billy, how long did they make you wait outside?
Speaking of that, before we go any further on this,
there we go.
Right now, you guys know you missed me being the judge in freaking.
We did,
no doubt.
That was literally something that was a conversation. It was like, man, the combination of Alex and Billy judging us and taking our money was something that we missed.
You know who's got more money since I did that? Stallings, for sure.
Oh, yeah.
I could find that guy just for looking at me, man.
And Stallings is looking, too. So, or he'll be listening to this podcast.
I know Stallings listening, too, I believe, when you guys do that.
Yeah, and there was, I believe, the last time I heard you say his name, there was like an adjective or, before it. It was something Stallings, and it just kept being repeated. What's that?
Probably shouldn't say that on here.
Yeah, right? I can bleep it out. It's just going to be extra work for me, so we can avoid it.
Right. I mean, you guys get the thing. It's a 2-letter word, and it's not friend. It's another term for saying I love you, basically.
Right. That's amazing.
Man. All right. So let's go back to something you mentioned right away, and let's just touch on it. So, and we'll jump around. This doesn't need to be linear here, but we're talking about something that was so special in 2012. You mentioned it, hometown. Let's talk about that All-Star game. Let's talk about the home run derby experience, and that's going to open up a litany of questions and some topics of conversation. So let's just give you the floor, man, and you just go and talk about how special that was.
I mean, it would have been a lot more special if I was actually in the home
Oh,
run derby.
There we go.
Here we go.
That didn't take long. There it is.
Robinson Cano told me I was going to be in, and then after the fact, he told me, "Oh no, I didn't say that." But everybody, no, that stuff's recorded. We can find that somewhere. But
so hold on, for the people that are listening, Bill, like let's back it up a little bit. Let's tell the story for people that may not know what it is that you're talking about. So just kind of start at the beginning.
Okay, so whenever they could, so I don't know if that's still how they do it. They still have captain. If you win the year before, they still have the captain for the home run derby. Is that the way it goes?
I don't know. Sure.
How do they name? Do they whatever it is? So back then, whenever it is, if you won it the year before, you were the captain of the team the next year.
Okay.
So you got to pick your team. Basically, who are supposedly supposed to help you decide who it is by their production and everything like that. So. Robinson Cano said, the All-Star game's in Kansas City this year. If there's a guy that was, deserving to be in it, and then he even said when the All-Star game came out that I was going to be on it, and then obviously backtracked and didn't put me on the team. I think he took Mark Trumbo or Prince Philip, whoever it was.
Yeah,
Trumbo.
Yeah, Trumbo.
Yeah. Instead, and. Basically the friendly fans of the Kansas City area didn't think too kindly of that.
Right.
I mean, I just remember, planes going by, just talking about you screwed it up, Cano, and then going back. It was like, you had you had a chance to make it right, Cano, and you did. I mean, it's just destroying them. And then, I mean. The crowd was just insane. I mean, up to that point, obviously, we had some years where we were struggling, guys.
Hey, Billy, so hold on. The mic went out for about 4 seconds, and he said the crowd was what?
The crowd there was just unbelievable.
Yeah.
I've never heard anything.
For sure.
Hope the mic didn't go out. Was it my end or your guys?
No, you're good. You're good. I just remember Cano was getting booed so bad. I don't even think he hit a home run.
No, he did not. He didn't.
Yeah.
He was hitting balls foul backwards into the crowd. I mean, I've never seen it affect somebody of that magnitude. He's heard boos before. He's played in New York. He's in New York. I mean, and
sure.
And to do that, I mean, I was on the field, and to hear that, I mean, it was definitely a different level. I mean, you guys are breaking sound barriers or sound levels at Kauffman or at Arrowhead and everything like that. But that was that type of feel there. I mean, that was the first time. I mean, I felt how loud that place could get. And honestly, guys, you affect them. The fans affect them so much. That, I mean, after that and after the All-Star game or after that night, he wanted to go home. I don't know if you guys knew that. He was going home.
Really?
He was pulling out of the All-Star game because he felt so, bad about the situation. I had to go into a room with our head media guy, Mike Swanson.
Swanee.
And talk him out of leaving because you guys.
You had to talk Cano into staying?
I had to talk Cano into staying.
So there was an actual conversation between Billy Butler and Robinson Cano.
Where he was going to leave, and I had talked him into staying.
So Billy, did he
going the whole route of he didn't feel like his family was safe, which is
wow.
There we go.
Yeah, his family was safe. He didn't want to be here anymore, and I was like, dude, that's just obviously
it's just Kansas City supporting their guy.
It's a cop-out.
Hey, did he ever apologize to you, Billy? Did he ever say, I'm sorry, like, hey, man, I'm sorry for the miscommunication. I should have had you in there, anything like that?
Nothing. Nothing. He kept defending his choice. Wow. He still does to the day.
Okay.
So there are no Christmas cards being sent.
And no offense, you might have to bleep this out, but Kansas City fans don't, I mean, they can read that bullshit.
All day long.
100%.
You should have told him to go home, bro.
Yeah.
At Swanee's guidance, he told me to talk him.
No doubt.
Okay, well,
no
there you
doubt.
go. There
Wow,
you go.
Swanee was also wanting me to take him a bottle of water up there when he was taking batting practice. I was like, nah, he made his bed, let him lay in it up
I
there.
did. I think you told us that story at fantasy camp about how. I mean, that would have made it so much worse. Like if you would have walked out there and handed him a bottle of water or a Gatorade.
That was definitely requested me. You can ask Swanee that too. I think to this day now, Swanee's glad I didn't.
Sure.
You know, he had to do his job.
Sure.
Or try to make things, smooth things over. But the way that worked out and the way you guys remember it, I don't think you changed a thing about that thing, except for me being in the home.
Oh my gosh! So
God.
a couple of my buddies texted me this morning, and of course, they're like, "Hey, make sure he talks about that home run derby." I was there that day, so we got a bunch of buddies that were there. And you're right.
Was it as fun up there as it was?
Oh
for
my
everybody
gosh,
else?
it was electric.
Absolutely electric.
Right.
It was so much fun. Well, in fact, that was one of the years. So 2012, Royals Fantasy Camp, they had to do some extra things to get campers to come, right? It wasn't the thing that it is today.
Right.
And that was one of the things that Dina pushed is you come to fantasy camp, and then you have the right to buy 2 strips of all the All-Star activities. So the Futures Game, Home Run Derby, and obviously the All-Star Game. So there was, back in the day, I think those seats were called the dry duck seats out in left field. So all the fantasy campers were literally out in left field by the fountains. And, dude, it was electric. Like, everyone was just going absolutely crazy out there.
I mean, it was awesome. I mean, that was this kind of the starting point for us competition-wise, too. I mean, we didn't have a great 2012, but 2013, we started to do better, and then so on. I really think that was, the start of things come in a good way. I mean, so... Right. I mean, just so many good memories of that time.
So that's a great segue, Billy. So talk about that season during 2013. Were you guys starting to get the feeling as you were getting close and playing 500 ball? Were you guys getting that feeling of like, hey, man, like this is really coming together. Like we've got a shot to do something special here.
I remember a time when we were sitting there after 100 games. I think at that point, and you can go back. I remember it like it was yesterday. There was a time we were 50-50.
Mm-hmm.
Into that season, we had a meeting in Chicago. It was after the All-Star break, right when the All-Star break got back, or right around that time. Can't remember the exact point, but from that point, I mean, Raul Ibanez called the meeting and basically formed our team identity right at that point. We formed and then from that point on, basically talking in there, we went around the room just talking about what our strengths and what our weaknesses were, and that how if we play as a team and we know our strengths, that we won't that we're going to be tough to beat. And then from that point on, that's when we went 89 and 63.
Yeah. Wow.
Do you think
that was in 2014?
Right.
Now, so 2013, obviously we finished strong, and we finished strong, and then that was the halfway point in 2014.
Do you think from a leadership standpoint that Raul kind of taking that role is what really kind of helped maybe some of the younger players, or maybe, guys like you say, you know what, we can do this? Was it really like a momentous occasion in having that leadership role affect the team that positively?
I'm going to be honest with you. I think it gets overlooked now because, the game's changed, the game's evolved even since then. But those leadership roles aren't getting enough credit for now. Everybody's looking at numbers or analytics or whatever nowadays. The leadership role is something that's huge, and that's what Raul played for sure. That was a big difference in us and what he played into that, and for that team, because you look back, he didn't have a ton of at bats. He didn't do a ton for that thing, but he was there the whole way and helped every guy in his own way. That's why to this day, I know a couple of years back and whatever, I know he's turned him down or whatever, but he's had manager interviews and everything like that, and he deserves them.
Yeah, he's cool.
He's a great baseball guy. He played in Kansas City for a lot of years, had a long, great career, but personable, communication-wise, the guy's second to none. I really believe that, and I believe there's guys like that all around the league that can be in those. That can be in those roles that really do make a difference.
And we love hearing that type of stuff, Billy, because that's such an integral role of someone behind the scenes being a leader, and that the casual fan or even a hardcore fan, they're not in the locker room. They don't get to see those types of meetings and, the motivation, and talked about the strengths and the weaknesses, all that great stuff. So thank you for sharing that. That's very, very cool stuff. And, man, it was such an amazing run because, we all know, what happened in the wild card game there in 2014. And you guys just plowed through the Orioles and the Angels and just, went on into the World Series. I think, what was it, like 13 straight games, 13 or wins in a row in the post. It was something. Yeah. It was something crazy.
Yeah. We set a record. We set a major league record for most consecutive postseason wins. Mm-hmm. Whatever that number is, I don't remember it now, but I do know it's still a record for most wins in a row. Man. And if you look at it, so what I'm saying, I know I jumped around, but when we form our identity, if you look at the way it is, I mean, everybody kind of knew what was going to happen. We go, when you have that, bullpen that we had, right. I mean, we were just trying to get the freaking lead to
the sixth inning,
or within the same thing. We started forming an identity. If we were 1-2 runs down after the fifth inning or sixth inning, we knew we were going to win the game because all we had to do was keep fighting because our bullpen was so dominant. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of the start of the focus on those types of roles in the league. If you look at the league taking notice of that, you see all these relievers starting to get paid more. That kind of the way that we had those guys. When you have Herrera, even if you go back to that time, you had Hochaver. If the starter went 5, you had Hochaver at 6, you had Herrera, then you had freaking Wade Davis, and then you had freaking Holland.
Right.
I mean, they started paying relievers to shorten the game that way, and we were kind of the team that started that, or showed it could be successful at that way. We had a team where we had a lot of speed, and we had to, and we knew we could affect the game that way. Which I don't, Gerard ran for me more times than I can freaking remember, but I got on base for him, and then he took the rest. I mean, him and Gore and all those things. I mean, the identity, you could see it was clear, and I know I know it was as fun for you guys as it was for us because you saw what we were doing. You could kind of be in there, and you knew what we were trying to accomplish each day, trying to just get to that inning, and you knew it was, basically as close as you can be to a sure to win as it could be. When,
it definitely felt like that.
And you definitely don't, in baseball, anything can happen. That was as close to assured time as you could get. And I put that up against anybody else's, other franchises, time frame and their success of with ours, because you kind of just could predict what could happen. I know it was exciting. I know it was exciting for us too. We just knew we knew what we were doing.
Well, yeah, it was
unpredictable.
It was just
basically
an
unpredictable game. You just don't know what's going to happen each day.
Right. I think part that is going maybe a little bit under the radar here is, you had the setup guys, you had the bullpen guys that could make the game shorter, like you said, and maybe the game's changed because of it. But that mental attitude that you guys had, like you said, if we're down 2 runs after the 5th inning, who cares? We're still going to win the game. And so, maybe talk a little bit about that mental part, that you guys had that confidence going in that no matter what, we were going to be in a game.
Yeah, well, you just nailed it right there. Confidence is one thing that you can't make anybody have. So once you start getting it, when it's unified, now you're talking about a team that's confident, not just one guy. You just knew the next guy was going to get it done. I mean, it really does take pressure off of everyone.
Just count on the guy next to you.
Yeah.
And that's a hard thing to do when you say in spring training, just trust the guy next to you. Well, it doesn't work that way. You know what I mean? This doesn't work that way. You have to build that.
Hey, does Gerard Dyson, does he still send you Christmas cards as a thank you for getting on the base all the time and him coming in to run for you?
Yeah, he doesn't label it as Gerard Dyson either. It's like Mr. Zumbaya. I'm talking about
That's
here.
Right. Hey, while we're on that topic, why don't you talk about one of your famous moments of stolen base in the playoffs, and talk us through that process of really what either motivated you to do that or somebody gave you the order to do that. Talk about that.
Oh yeah, no, Rusty Kuntz gave me the order at first base to, that it was my time to steal it, and I took that base with me. By the way, I got that base at my house.
Do you really?
That's fantastic.
Downstairs, the actual one. It's not a replica or a fake one either. It's the real.
That's amazing.
No, yeah, and then and you got You got the freaking.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. And I get the gifts or the gifs from those all the time.
Yeah.
People send them to me all the time. So I mean, that basically was my time to rub it in Gerard's face that I could still base too.
That's amazing. So what did that feel like when Rusty Kuhn said, "Hey Billy, you're going"? Like, did he give you the signal, or he just kind of?
Yeah, he said first move, you're gone here, and everything like that. And I kind of gave him a look at you. I'm like, are you serious? and I mean that's right there when I knew that series was over. And I know
that's how much confidence you had
right there too. Yeah,
that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's phenomenal. So you've talked about you've mentioned a couple of teammates throughout the years, and obviously we'll get into some topics about being with some other clubs as well. But how important is it for teammates? What we love about this show is, obviously we've got a lot of athletes that come on, or former professional athletes, but a lot of the lessons from the clubhouse transfer into like the workplace too, right? So how important is it for teammates or coworkers to really kind of get along? Also, this is the undertow that we're not really talking about with the positivity, and we're talking about the confidence, but for people to get along in a clubhouse, how important is it for the team to mesh? And then the flip side, part two of that question, Billy, maybe talk about some experiences of being in clubhouses where maybe guys didn't get along and what that dichotomy was really like.
First off, I'll tell you this right now. So I that's what I do for a living now. Is where I'm at. It's where I'm at right now. I'm in my office, but I run a sports facility. We run girls club teams. We help the youth out and everything like that. And every single one of those is basically we run 25 teams in the West Coast. That being said, it's all I preach about is team unity, camaraderie, team unity, team bonding, things that we do, because it really does make a difference in the course of wins and losses. And that being said, just like you were saying, I've been a part of a lot of bad teams throughout about my tenure with the Royals, and those get years of dark years, and I kept sticking with it and kept fighting basically because I truly believed in what it meant to be a Royal. That being said, no team has good chemistry, or not everybody gets along when you're losing that many games. It's just not possible. So, and it really is not possible, because that's what you're there to do. You're there to win games. You're there to, at the end of the day, your numbers matter. You're trying to get paid and all those types of things. But, a lot of times when you win games, they tend to keep you around too. So, right. Like they're making a lot of moves. I can't tell you how many teammates I had. I guarantee you throughout from my time with Kansas City, I had a lot of teammates, a lot of transition, and like that. I don't have a number there. I know I'm up in the leagues where me and Alex were the only two guys that were still there, and they're moving guys around, and we're getting new teammates. I would think in that amount of time that we had we were having the most new teammates around the league. It had to be up there, if not the most. That being said, it's just, there's so many things that, go into winning a game, and that, you can feel it in the atmosphere. You can feel it in the clubhouse. A bad clubhouse, there's nothing worse to be in. When it's a bad clubhouse, guys just not getting along. It's not possible to get along with everybody.
No.
But on good teams, it makes it easier.
Well, exactly, because, you've seen teams over the years, and, whether it's whatever sport it is, but you see some teams, and they clearly have the guys with a ton of talent, but for whatever reason, they just don't gel in the locker room, and they don't turn that into being a winner. And then you see some teams that are still very talented, but maybe not all the all-stars or the accolades or whatever, but they're the ones that gel and end up moving on because they literally love each other, and they're going to do anything to pick up their teammate, right? Yeah. So
look at the Dodgers. Look at the Dodgers right now. They're spending the most money in the league, but they don't win every year. They did win. They did finally get over that hump. There's a lot of years they're saying you can't buy one, and I truly think you can't buy one. I know that teams should have a philosophy on how they spend their money, and now I know some teams just have more than you have.
Right.
But when you make the right moves, Kansas City's definitely an example of that. When you make the right moves, and you have the right people when you have right people around. I take pride in that. That was the longest tenured guy on that 2014 team because I stuck around. I had chances to leave, but I wanted to be there.
Sure.
I wanted to be there. I signed a contract. I stayed there and I played it out. And I know that's, not just because we did win the American League and we did all that kind of stuff, is because I truly loved being there and that's where I wanted to be. And I showed that in the community and all the above. There's so much about being that type of player and doing things. It's not just all about on the field. It's all about, in the community, touching people and that kind of stuff. I mean, that all goes into it. Because there was a lot of years there where I was like, are we ever going to reach or am I just going to go throughout my career and never make playoffs? I mean, there's always those things there. I mean, there's always those things there, but you keep your head down, you believe in what you're doing, believe in the front office, and they eventually got it right.
So, talking about 14, obviously you love Kansas City. How was that in 15? You're a free agent, right? So, and no one, I wouldn't be like upset if, someone offered me a huge amount of money and, you have to leave and go to another city. You have to take care of your family. But, I know the A's, they gave you a lot of money. How was that process of going into free agency? Was that a challenge?
Well, honestly, it was like, so we just got done with Game 7 of the World Series. We're Halloween. And I spent that in my house in Kansas City, and then we went back home. I mean, within 10 days, I had an offer from the A's on the table. And I'm sitting there and I'm like, really? And I'm like, really? I mean, like this early on? And I'm like, I know the Royals were like wanting to just, let it play down, see what the winter meetings have and everything like that. But I didn't have that luxury. And,
right.
I had a few conversations with Dayton on that and everything like that, and it just didn't work out. And at the end of the day, it's, this game's a business. Would I have liked to play every one of my games in my career with the Royals? Yeah, I would have, but it's just not the way it worked out. I mean, do I think my career would have been longer if I would have stayed with the Royals? Yeah. I mean, I went to Oakland and it didn't work out. I mean, it honestly ruined my love of the game. I did not have a good transition to Oakland. I mean, you couldn't have gone from like opposite ends of the the way of life of the way things go in Kansas City and the way things go in the Bay Area. I mean,
Can you elaborate on that? Because obviously you're saying that put a damper on your career with the transition of lifestyle. So that's some of the stuff that people don't talk about. They just talk about the player. So maybe talk about the human side.
Well, the way the organizations are ran and the way that, you stay there for so long. I mean, you're there in an organization for so long. Like I said, as long as tenured guy for X amount of time in Kansas City. And sometimes you're always like, all right, man, well, not really like, so, I mean, basically the A's were giving me a 3-year deal. Royals only wanted to give me 2. And I was like, can't look at my family and say, let's stay. I mean, it's hard. It's one of the hardest decisions I'll have to make. And trust me, I still think about it. But organizations that are run differently. I mean, the only way I can put this is like they treat me like family. The Royals are like royalty. They treat their players really good, the wives really good. They treat the kids really good, and it's the opposite in Oakland. I mean, the stadium. I mean, if you've been there, it's like not very. I mean,
You're being really nice.
That's very politically correct. I've been there, Billy, and it's a dump.
Concrete. That's a dump. Yeah.
Concrete jungle. Yeah.
Yes, concrete jungle, and I mean. Their philosophies of the way they run things and everything like that. I was just sitting there after a while. I was just sitting there wondering why did they give me this contract? And I know that because they didn't give me the opportunity to play it like the way I wanted to, because I was supposed to play first base more and all this kind of stuff. They did whatever they could to get my son on the line, and they got me and they got me and there's things that you think that are sometimes better in other organizations that are truly not, and that's what free agency is and and that's just the way things work.
Maybe talk a little bit more too then about the next trip, because you had another stop for a little bit of time too, wearing the pinstripes.
A couple weeks.
That's that
was another one. I mean, like they're fantastic there. I would have played there more. I had opportunities to keep playing after that, and I just didn't want to play anymore. I just knew that was done for me. Like I said, New York is just, fantastic. And if I'd have played there longer, I would have probably viewed it just like Kansas City. But when you play somewhere so long, those are where
Yeah.
Kansas City was a place, where I freaking just everything
was like home.
Everything was people. Yeah, it was like home, and people don't get that feeling all the time.
Yep.
You see all these players that play different spots all the time and everything like that. They don't get a place to call home. I was truly where I belonged.
Well, and this is great stuff, Billy, because, for our listeners, they don't really understand the whole human element, of the players and what they go through. They just, they're watching you hit on the nightly on TV, but, it comes about, like you said, your family and your teammates and the organizations, how they treat you, and just, the comforts of being in the familiar areas. And, my question is to you, was there ever a possibility? So you had your run there with the A's and then a little bit with the Yankees at the very end, but was there ever a possibility that the Royals were another option to come back and play for another year or two? Was that ever even on the table?
It wasn't ever discussed or anything like that. I was done.
You were done.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Do you have any?
I was done.
Do you have any regrets?
And no. Well, yeah. I mean, if I have any regrets, I wish the Royals would have matched my offer and I played every game as a Royal, and we wouldn't even be talking about that.
Sure.
But
Right.
yeah, I guess if everything's about money, I mean, like you look about that, I just wish I would have stayed in Kansas City and obviously would have a World Series ring.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
But,
Exactly.
But I mean, there's a common lesson here for kids and I always run my organization this way because like you have club teams, you have competitive teams, you have the ability to choose. You go try out for a team, and there's you have options there and everything like that. So if you're already on a team and you're committed, the term "the grass isn't always greener on the other side" is something that
Especially that Oakland green.
Right, exactly. Hey, let's hear some funny stuff here, Billy. Let's switch over to some funny stuff. And we always say everyone has a Zack Greinke story, man. So what do you got up your sleeve for a Zack Greinke story?
I got more than most.
All right, man. You just let it rip, man.
Okay, so I actually grew up with Zack, his brother. Okay, his brother is me and his brother
Down in Florida.
Luke, he went to Auburn, and we played in high school together. And I actually played with Zack. And you know what? Zack actually, we're growing up as a really good shortstop, really good hitter, and like that. And you trust me, if you're around Zack, he'll tell you.
Look how awesome I am.
I mean, yeah. So, all right, my story with Zack kind of goes back to that 2006 season when when he left the game of baseball, and they say, and I like to touch on I know he has, anxiety, and he's being treated for that. He had all those struggles with that, but I remember being in spring training, and I'm in 06. I'm going to AA, so you were saying in Wichita with that team, but I get invited to spring training, and I'm not going to make the team. But I played so well. I played all spring training. They actually had to tell the media he's not making the team, but and he's going to AA because I had a really good spring, and I'm just sitting there at the end of spring, and that's when we're going to it's when we played those exhibition games in Houston, and we go play those before the season started. So I'm sitting there, and I got invited to do that. So I'm sitting there, and I'm excited, and everything like that. And they're telling everybody who's making the team. And everything like that, and I'm like, it's a pretty cool process. Well, until you get to Zack's, they bring Zack in, and they tell Zack, and then Buddy Bell. So Buddy Bell's in there, and he tells Zack, he goes, "Congrats, Zack. You're our number 4 or 5 starter. I don't remember which one it was. You made the team and everything like that." And Zack's just sitting there like this. He's just like like this right here, just like processing, not even happy.
Doesn't even crack a smile.
He goes, "Well, what am I supposed to do the other 4 days of the week?"
What a weirdo.
He goes, "I want a DH." But he kind of laughs it off. I mean, and
I want a DH.
he goes, "No, we got a guy named Mike Sweeney that's going to get a DH for us and everything like that."
That's
well. Then
hilarious.
he stuck his hand out and says, "Well, I quit."
Oh, you're kidding? He quit?
Went home.
That
Yep.
That is what transpired to. I mean,
There was
and there's other things going on, obviously.
I mean, That's what happened. He went home, but he said so. The rule, the rumor is that he went back and he was wanting to go play golf.
Yeah,
Right.
heard
If
that.
you guys heard that,
Yep.
Yeah.
that was part of
Yep,
it.
I
Was
heard
like
that.
after, I'm gonna go home and play golf. So he couldn't just say he quit because he wanted to be a hitter and everything like that. So he went back and played golf. And if you know Zack's really good
Yeah.
at golf. Really good at golf.
You know, that could be the first time in baseball history, Billy, that someone, when they got informed that they made the team, that they literally processed it for a little bit and just quit.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
It maybe embellished a little bit, but you can ask like Buck and those other guys.
yeah.
They said the form of that happened. All right, it's like literally that happened. I don't think he just quit on the spot. It was just like, I mean, like he was like, oh, I won't play anymore.
Wow. Do you think if
Yeah,
Buddy Bell would have said okay,
do
do you think if he said okay, that Zack would have?
I've heard that story enough, and I was sitting in that locker and everything like that. Obviously, I'm not in the room with Buddy and freaking Zack when they're telling them the freaking,
Wow.
the news of the game. But I mean, this thing has happened. You hear it through clubhouse guys, you hear it through Davey, you hear it through, Tyler and then those guys down there. I mean, like this thing happened in a form of way. So we're getting majority of the truth here on this because I know for a fact because he came back and played with us in AA that year. And he went back and he actually tried to qualify for the Q school
For golf, yeah.
to go play on the PGA Tour, and he missed it by a stroke.
Wow.
Oh, my gosh.
And then roundabout way we hear him, it's July or whatever, and we said, oh, Zack's, working his way through the minor leagues, working his way back to the big leagues. So he worked back, and he was in our bullpen in 2006, during that Texas League championship series, and after that he went back up to Kansas City for September.
Wow.
That's a good story. Thanks for that.
That's a good one. Now, do you have one more? You said you had several. Do you have one more you want to share about Zack?
Okay, so Zack used to, I don't know if you guys remember there. I have no idea why. And I don't know if Zack's, this isn't like a story. This is just a fact about him. I mean, for the whole, and I got a third story. And they just keep popping back up, man. So it used to be I was like a locker. So my locker was like, you guys have been in the clubhouse.
Mm-hmm.
You go in, when you're going to the thing. So like you're going through the clubhouse, the one on the far end, closest to the kitchen. That was my locker. The two up against the wall, unless they've redesigned it again, they could have. And I haven't been there in a while. But then right across, I would always sit, and my locker was like, I would sit there and I'd just be like facing Zack. Always facing Zack. And for whatever reason, I think it was 08 or 09, the whole year, whatever, for 2 years, dude, every interview he had, he had a surfboard in the clubhouse. Surfboard. And he doesn't even surf. Never even, I don't know if he has surfed or not. Somebody gave him a surfboard. And so this thing is something he just held for every interview. It's almost like his, everybody, you go to bed.
It was like his
teddy bear.
binky.
It's his whoopee.
Yeah, you're going to bed holding a teddy bear or whatever. He was holding a surfboard. And I'm like, come on, man. I was like, come on, man.
Wow.
And then one of the last games, okay, so I'll tell one more. All right, one more. That's just not even a story. That's just a fun fact. I'm like, Zack, why are you holding a freaking surfboard? This is just weird. Zack, it's Zack. But, all right. 2009, when was he traded? It was before 2010, right?
To Milwaukee?
Yeah, I think Milwaukee was.
Milwaukee traded. I know we got Alcides Escobar.
It was either 11 or 12, wasn't it?
Zack,
It was 12.
Jake Odorizzi.
Yeah, I think it was 12.
Whatever it is, the year before, like late in the year before he got traded. And then they all kind of start, running together. So I just sorry if I don't remember the exact year.
I think it's
But like one of his last starts, he, obviously it was his worst outing of his career, and he only made it like into the second inning. It was Trey Hillman's year.
Mm-hmm.
It was I promise you it was Trey Hillman. So it was a little bit earlier than what you were saying. Trey Hillman goes out there and takes him out of the game. I've never seen this before. They come and take him out of the game. Well, he comes walking off, doesn't stop in the dugout, just goes down the stairs, goes up and showers and leaves.
Just left the ballpark.
Yeah, left the ballpark.
Wow.
Just left the ballpark. And it doesn't even stop at that point. He doesn't come back till the day of his next start.
Oh, he left the team for like 4 days.
Yeah, if you know Zack's mental state, it's just too much for him. And we were just wondering where he was at.
Wow.
But anybody else, you know the magnitude of Zack and how good Zack was.
Right.
No one knew about that.
Yeah.
No one knew about that. And then I think that right there, that shows you that how people are invested in an organization, because if you said that right there, it might have hurt his trade value and stuff like that.
Yeah.
People were worried about that, but it did not.
Good call.
That's exactly right.
Because then after that, I mean, because then they traded him that winter or before the next year, whatever that was. I mean, but yeah, I mean, you're sitting there wondering what somebody's going through mentally when they're doing that. Because Zack's not a bad guy.
No.
Yeah. I talk to Zack.
Yeah.
So Zack's great.
Well, we'll look for that. Go ahead.
I think that's where Zack started figuring out his, social anxiety, and he got on the right medication. I mean, if you look at that, you don't play as long as he did if he didn't, figure it out.
Sure.
With that kind of stuff. I mean, everybody's got their own struggles.
Well,
but
you're exactly right, Billy. Like all of us, we say always be kinder than necessary because everyone's got some battle that they're fighting. So, we all have something going on. But I tell you what, man, as Kansas City fans, it's cool to have him back. But man, we all owe him a debt of gratitude, because that trade that with Milwaukee, that literally set us up.
Changed the whole franchise.
You don't have a World Series without that trade.
It's true.
Yeah,
it's true. Well, Billy, we'll let you set up that mutual text message to get Zack on the Always Be Cool show, so that he can talk about some of those stories from a first person point of view.
It might deny that one. Actually.
No, yeah.
Right. Or maybe you can get him to.
That's all in fun too.
Right.
Yeah.
Right,
hey, Billy, maybe you can get him to come to fantasy camp.
You get Ian or Buck on her.
Yeah, we had Bucky on about a month ago.
Yeah. Those things those guys were all. These things you just keep in house. I mean, after the fact, now we're just dudes telling.
That's right. It's true. I think that's what Buck said too.
So I was actually playing for, and not like I'll give Zack credit a lot of things. Zack's probably one of the best pitchers, the best pitcher I played with, because I got to see it for a long amount of time.
Right.
I was actually playing first base for, his no hitter, and his 18 strikeout game.
Yeah. Well, he's definitely he's going to be a Hall of Famer.
I don't know however many strikeout games he had. He had a lot of
he was a freak. Still is. Still great. Yeah. So let's talk about you got some other famous stories that you've been a part of. So let's talk about Billy Butler here for a second.
Okay.
Let's talk about Chris Gimenez. I like that story. That's a pretty fun one. So, you want me to set it up, or do you want to set it up?
Yeah, I want to hear how you thought it went.
Well, okay. So what's that?
We'll put you on.
Okay, that's cool. So, from what I remember, Billy Butler's up to bat. We've got Chris Gimenez is catching. We've got Tomlin pitching, and there was a questionable call, right? That maybe Billy Butler didn't agree with, and
I've had worse calls.
Sure, yeah, but it's just really questionable. So
it was awful, but I've had it called.
And then some more maybe framing of pitches was not going the way that Billy thought it should be going.
Yeah, exactly right.
Okay.
But not necessarily the framing. It was more of the noise he was making.
Okay.
Because he was basically letting them know that in his mind, he was letting the umpire know that he missed the call.
Okay. So.
And that's fine. But what transpired from that, let me give you a preface to that.
Yeah, you take it over from here.
I've had 4 of my teammates come in, including a couple rookies, which is fine. But I had Jed Lowry, and I had Stephen Vogt and another. I don't remember who it was. Maybe it might have been Ben Zobrist came in and was just complaining about how much the catcher and the umpire were interacting, and basically, and then basically saying he was working him for the strike. I mean, there's speculation for that. I'm not going to throw the guy under. The umpire was Trip Gibson, great umpire, very much respected, and so I'm not even going to go into that. But Gimenez was just running his mouth back there a little too much, and I when I go up there, and the next thing you know, I'm up there, and he's in the getting ready for one of the pitches, and this is not when I stop and this one. This is just basically early on, and it might have been the first pitch, whatever. He's sitting there telling the freaking umpire about his boat that he's got and everything like that. And I said, nobody gives a shit about your boat.
That's the name of the podcast.
That's like Bull Durham.
Yeah. And then so the one inside he called, I'm like, all right, whatever. I thought it was a little off, but then he threw the one away and he didn't call it. And Gimenez makes like the, frames it, and he's like sitting there and he gives like a little bit of like a, like to the umpire, like almost one of those. I'm like, I just look back, I go, dude, you can't have both of those, like both sides. He goes, why not? And everything like that. And I go, because they're just both not strikes. And he goes, well, you think, he's like, we're just kind of chirping back and forth and everything like that. And he just says, well, you just think you're a tough guy, don't you? Like that. No, I just think you're running your mouth a little too much. Is basically what it is. Just shut up. And then so then I step out, and then I get back in the box, and he's still going. He's just still going. I said, if I get done with my little, little, get ready to hit, like, everybody got their little, Bobby, this. I saw you in camp. You like to look cute up there, you're getting ready. And then I said, if I'm done with my little shimmy or whatever, and then and he's still going, I'm just going to fight him.
I'm just going to fight him. I love it.
It's on. Let's go.
I get done with this thing, and I'm just like, screw it. He's just getting more and everything like that. And I said, let's go. And that's when the umpire gets right in the middle of this and like that. And I said, and then the umpire comes over there, and I said, you just whatever, we're saying crap back and forth. And then I turn to the umpire, and I'm like, you know what? You know better than that to let him change your strike zone. You call your game. You know the game. And that's why he's shaking his head. Yeah, you're right. And he's a young guy, whatever. But as an umpire, and I'm like, the strike zone. You know it better. You're a good umpire. You trust your zone. And I'm just doing that and everything like that. And now I'm pissed off. And then next thing, then I freaking hit that bolt. Freaking bomb. And I sit there and so back to the bat. I say he goes a little on that strike. I hit one. I just look back and I go,
Did you really?
Yeah.
That's awesome.
And then he goes.
He was jawing at you as you were walking to first.
He was jawing. He said, I'll see you back here when you get back around here. So I'll be back here in about 25 seconds.
I'm going to take my time. Let's go.
Yeah. No, it's just one of those times where it absolutely flat out worked out with some trash talking.
Oh, my gosh.
I don't like Chris. Well, he's great. Played a long time.
Yeah.
He's a great dude and everything like that. Just at that time, I'd had enough of him running his mouth. It just is what it is. Back and forth a little bit with the guys. And then I'm running around first, and Kipnis is telling me to ease it down. I'm like, then I'm doing, well, then shut them the hell up behind the plate, and I'll be quiet. And then it just was whatever. Because then Frank, before the next game, came out and shook my hand and said, that was probably one of the most impressive things I've ever seen. Sorry, I got the phone ringing here.
Yeah, go ahead.
Wants
you should answer.
Yeah, go ahead and get that.
Here, guys.
Yeah. May I help you? Would you like a softball team?
Yeah, no, answer it out there.
That's a great story, Billy. Thank you for.
So I'm still going. Yeah, what I'm saying, Frank Cano came out and just goes, "That was one of the coolest things I've ever seen."
Oh,
and everything. He goes, everything like that, and I go, "Dude, sorry if I made a scene. It was nothing." I just said, "It was nothing again. I had nothing to do with Tomlin, and it's nothing." And just and he just goes, "Yeah, I just thought Chris run his mouth a little bit and everything." And Frank Cano just goes, "Yeah, we've had that before."
Right.
So he does. Yeah, whatever. And it was just one of those ones. He was making it right. Frank Tito, by the way, is one of the best dudes ever.
Oh, yeah.
Frank Cano, yeah. But how many times that worked out? We wouldn't even be talking about this if we freaking...
If you struck out or get grounded out.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. So it just worked out.
Hey, Billy, real quick, because we...
Cope hits and freaking...
Right. He rakes.
Here we go. All right, you got 2 hours to touch up base on that. Keep going.
Yeah, here we go.
So... all right, man. So
the only thing I know is we're tired of Bobby Kerr getting MVP.
Shit,
right? We need somebody else. Right?
There we go.
Come on, Bobby.
There we go.
Come on, Bobby. Out there, you look prettier each year, bud.
Thanks, buddy.
Hey, Bill, we want to be respectful of your time. So, was there a particular home run in your career that just kind of stood out more than others for you? Like, was there just one special time? Because that was a phenomenal story that you just shared with us. But whether it was just the situation of the game, or maybe it was one of your favorite ballparks to hit in, but is there a home run that just like really sticks out that you did in your career?
Okay, so I'll just go off a couple of them. You guys, a couple of them. Okay, so there was one, I hit an 0-2 fastball. Don't even remember the day or anything like this, just what pops to your head. All right, I'll give like three. What pops in my head? hit a home run in Boston off John Lackey. And, you go back and watch things 0-2 count. And I'm like, thinking I'm battling here, right? And everything like that. Sorry, gosh dang it.
Don't mind us here. We're just doing a podcast.
It's fine.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. But
0-2 versus Lackey.
0-2, Lackey's pitch. I'm probably going to be battling here and everything like that. Well, he throws the freaking ball right down the middle of the plate, and I hit it out left. And it goes over the green monster, and it freaking hits a windshield on a car.
Yes.
Over the cross.
Yes.
And I'm like, I'm running around. I didn't even know it hit the windshield of the car. You go back and watch video on it, and I'm like, that was cool. Freaking just actually stuck right in the
Like you
windshield.
were 12 years old in that moment.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Like, take that, Lackey. And then the next one was I hit one off of my former teammate, Guthrie.
Oh, Jay Guts. He's on the show next week.
Playing in Boston. And, tell him I said hi. I'll send him a text after this, too, about you guys. But one of the best dudes ever. So I hit a home run off when he was in Baltimore. 3-0 pitch, game winner to center. Boom, hit off the thing out there. And I said that about the only good thing that's ever happened to me, 3-0. Because when I swing 3-0, usually freaking,
fall down,
roll over,
right?
Pop up.
I got one. And then one more was I hit a grand slam in Philly. It was the only one that I had to stand. It's like not a normal grand slam. I had to set a second base, had to review it.
Oh.
And it barely went over and everything.
Wow.
That was early in the year. It was actually early in the year 2014. I'm sitting there on second base. I'm looking at the dugout, and Frank Core's giving me the old, it's a homer.
Good.
It's a homer. And I'm like, I'm sitting on second base. I don't have a grand slam yet. It's my only grand slam. And I'm sitting there on second base thinking, is it to go out or not? And they give me that. And so it was cool. And an umpire came out from watching it on the video, and they gave me that. And so it was pretty freaking sweet.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's great.
That's awesome. Well, you know what? Jay Guts is, he's a solid guy.
Great guy.
He hung around us last November, and hopefully he keeps coming down for camp because he is a one quality dude.
Absolutely. Hey, here's a fun fact for you, Billy.
Yeah.
Did you know, this is from Stallings. Did you? I think it's from Stallings. Did you know that you have the 340th highest batting average in league history of anyone with a minimum of 1,000 plate appearances, just ahead of Royals legend HAL MCRAE?
I did not know that. I didn't even know they kept those stats.
Think about
So
all
Stallings,
the
They keep
thousands.
everything, bro. They keep
nice
everything.
job for these meaningless. I don't even know how you have that stat. All right?
You should text Stallings and be like, what the hell?
F you, Stallings.
There you go. Hey, you got to watch Stallings, man. He'll take your stuff and sell it on eBay. Just ask George.
Oh, my God.
You know what, man? He's not even here to defend himself.
This is so bad.
I'm gonna rip on him a little more, man. That guy right there got the most. I'm gonna find him the most every year just for being that guy.
Oh,
Just
man.
for being Stallings.
I'm going to make a clip of that. And
Just
send it to him.
because, you know what? I remember last time we played cards, he beat me, so he's getting fined that amount, so I get that money back somehow.
That's right.
This is
You know,
gonna be
that's the
amazing.
perfect advertisement for fantasy camp because all we do is just hang around, drink, eat, and play cards and just have such a great time.
Yeah, get to hang out
It
with
is.
guys like
We love
Billy.
it.
It's awesome.
Yeah.
Cool.
I mean, I get to hang out with you
No,
guys.
we appreciate that.
Hey,
so
man.
before we go, Billy, do you have anything that that you want to promote or anything that's going on in your life that you want to bring some attention to?
Good call.
Man, all I do is coach girls softball here. We run a facility up here in Idaho Falls, and we help the youth. I basically have been ever since I've retired. I've just dedicated my life to the youth, my own kids, and just teaching people, teaching girls, boys, whoever comes in here of a young age, the game of. I teach them life through the game. And, how to, overcome things, give them confidence. I mean, that's what I think I do. I mean, I just build kids up to accomplish things and teach them how to, be successful.
Good humans, yeah.
Yeah, all the above. So we run that up here. We run Sweat That's My Hat. So we're Explosion. We take pride in what we do, and I love coaching girls softball now as much as I love playing baseball. Believe it or not.
That's cool.
You know what, Billy? You're such a quality role model, man, and such a great dad for your 3 young daughters, and all those kids, and even those the team there that you help do the hitting coach with, man. All of them are super blessed to have you around in their lives and learning through the game of baseball, man. And we can't thank you enough for taking some time and hanging out with us, because we just, you're our buddy. We love hanging out with you. We love just chatting and hearing the stories, and just can't thank you enough for spending time with us today.
Yep.
Yeah, you guys going to fantasy camp again?
Come on.
Yeah, let's go.
Who got the MVP this year?
Travis Neff got
Neff.
the camp MVP, and he deserved it.
He did.
He had a great camp.
He straight up.
I got one from you, freaking.
No, now. I didn't have that great a camp this year. Neffy did great.
Neff ranked it, man.
Yeah,
he had a good one. But don't you worry. We're
trying to get his. Don't Witt's mad every year. You don't get it.
Well, there you go. Straight truth. Straight truth.
Oh, I love
this
it.
episode is going to go over swimmingly with a lot of the guys. This is awesome.
Oh my gosh, everybody! Hey,
why not? I mean, you got to take a joke, right?
Absolutely.
That's what.
Hey,
camp's all
we
about.
encourage it, Billy. We absolutely encourage it, bro.
Well, guys, Billy Butler, the spreader of positivity and confidence through baseball and softball. Billy, it's been a pleasure, man. Thank you so much,
brother,
for hanging out. Absolutely, guys. Hey, this has been the Always Be Cool podcast. Make sure to find us wherever you listen to your podcasts, on Apple, Spotify, or Google. Be sure to smash that subscribe button and leave us a 5-star review. Find us on all social platforms with the handle @AlwaysBeCoolPodcast. Guys, Billy, stick around for a second. We're going to stop recording, but you guys have a great day.
See you guys.
If you are hearing this message, you've listened to the entire episode. And for that, Darren and Bobby thank you from the bottom of their hearts.
They hope you enjoyed this new episode. And if you did, please leave them a review on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or wherever else you're listening. Please share this episode with others who may be interested in our community.
Also, feel free to let DC and BK know which business or community leaders you'd like to see covered in future episodes. Get in touch in the comments or on social media. See you next time for a new episode. And remember, always be cool.
This podcast is powered by Summit Lending, NMLS number 1850081, Equal Housing Lender.